So we talked in a previous video about creating heaven on earth, right? I had a video before and I really gave it to you guys. I really gave it to the world. I really gave it to the universe. And I talked about how, Earth is a prison planet, which it is. Even Buddha said that. It's a prison planet. It's a soul harvest, and we're in the Kali Yuga. This is the natural cycle of time, and so the dark forces have been winning, but there's a shift now. But that does not take away from the fact that Earth in its current existence is a prison planet. However, you have the universal mind. You have access to the universal mind. And mind creates matter. The reason why we're living in such a prison-like environment, planet, consciousness is because the consciousness is hijacked by fear. It's a fear written, everything's code. Reality is a code. And the code that this reality is written with in its current form, and you could uninstall, reinstall, and we're sort of going through a reinstallation phase right now. So it's fear-based programs, okay? So our universal mind, the mass consciousness, creates this fear-based world environment, and so the planet has become sort of a prison planet, if you will. So then, however, you still have access to the universal mind, okay? And so in that sense, even though you are in hell, okay, Earth, look, 1,000 years ago, the Mongols killed 10% of the world's population, 10% with their bare hands, with mostly arrows, okay? They didn't even have the technology we have right now. That shows you the type of consciousness Earth has been in for the last few thousand years. We're just coming off of it, okay? If you want to remember why this is a prison planet and why the consciousness is so low, just think of the Mongols 1,000 years ago. That is it, 1,000 years ago, okay? And if you really want to know how terrible the Mongols were, listen to Dan Carlin's podcast on the Mongols. It's really long. It's like probably 10-15 hour long, okay? But it's really worth it. If you really want to get a grasp at how terrifying the Mongols were and how terrifying this planet, the state of consciousness and the fear that it's been in. But also, I followed it up with a video saying that you can, despite all of that, create heaven on earth. If you live here in the now in a state of heavenly existence, awareness, which is 100% possible. And this is the mission that I have been on now for the last few years. This is the mission that I'm on for the next few years. So I will sit here and I'll point out all the bullshit in society. Awareness is absolutely key, but we're not going to dwell on it too much. We will always point it out, and we will always provide solutions. Only complain, only point out something, only come to its awareness if you're willing to bring something to the table. So, creating heaven on earth. How do we do that? So, I identified 3 major areas, and this is sort of an initial draft, okay? And I really want to internalize it, so the best way for me to internalize it is to make a video on it. So, I identified 3 areas in which a human being could establish a state of heaven on earth, okay? And the first, think of them as 3 concentric circles. The first concentric circle is your physical body, okay? That's your physical body. That's, head to toe, as they say, okay? Head to toe. That's your physical body. And you want to create a heavenly body in every sense of the word. And as far as I'm concerned, there's 3 things that constitute a heavenly body. Starting with, how do you feel? How does it feel? Because if you feel your body, that's not a heavenly body, period. Think about it. The only time you feel your back is if it hurts you, right? If it hurts you. The only time you fear, like for me, my right foot it's quite inflamed. I think because of, 6-7 months of just constant driving when I was driving Uber, and so when I go to Thailand, I'm gonna get them to really do some massages there, and really release the toxins in there. Just sort of allow, because the flow is restricted. So I feel my foot. I don't really feel my left foot too much. Sometimes I'll feel it if I have been walking too much or I went for a run or something, but I don't really feel it. It's fine. I feel my right foot though. Why? Because it's inflamed, because it's not in a heavenly state. Okay? So you really don't want to feel your body at all. You don't want to feel it. Because if you ain't feeling it, it's in heaven, which requires a super clean body. A super clean body, okay? So that's going to require a long-term strategy on your part. Starting with, you change your diet, you remove all the mucus-forming foods and all the acid-forming foods, etc. The meats, the dairy, all that stuff. And that's a long-term approach. There are ways to establish that state of heaven a lot faster. The fastest way would be fasting. Fasting. It's all in the language, folks. Fasting. And there's different types of fasts. The fastest and quickest way would be dry fasting. I'm pretty sure if you were to do like a 3-week dry fast, you would be born again. Like born again. Like when I say born again, every cell in your body will be born again. Everything will be born again. But to make your way up to that, because I know some people that, Breatharians got somebody like Eli Tamil Amin. He doesn't do fasting anymore. He's reached a pranic state. So of course Breatharianism would mean you have 110% clean body. So then you're living in heaven. And I know Eli Tom always says, I'm living in heaven, because he is living in heaven. He says he doesn't feel his body. Like he doesn't feel it. There's because it's zero pain, zero inflammation, nothing, zero, nada. Okay, so this requires a long-term approach, because even to be able to reach the pranic state, or a dry fasting, prolonged dry fasting, or even water fasting, for God's sake, that's difficult. I can't even do that. For prolonged periods, I can't even do that. So, well, I can, but I don't want to. You see the difference here? I can. I know I can. I've done 3 days before. I could have done it longer. I just didn't want to. I'm just lazy, right? But that at some point, I'm pretty soon, I'm gonna do that, because you can. It's not that you can't, you can, but it's like you don't want to, right? So fasting would be the fastest way to clean up your body, and even that, you probably need 1 year, 2-3 years of consistent fasting periods, and then followed by super clean diet to reach that state where you don't feel your body anymore, where it's just boom, it's just so clean. It's so clean that you're flying up in the clouds because you don't feel your body anymore. You'll probably start traveling out of your body spontaneously. Okay, all kinds of things will happen to you if you reach that state where it's 100% clean. Okay, so the first part of the body of creating a heavenly body is to clean it up, is to not feel it. Okay, it's to not feel it, is to have it fully clean, 100%. I'm talking 100%, folks. I'm talking about total healing. So that's it takes years from the minute you make the decision, and then you implement the changes slowly, and then you work your way. For me, for example, one thing I'm gonna do as soon as I go to Thailand is I'm gonna be living, because I'm not really I did the 21 days juice fasting, loved it, hated the juicing, loved everything about it, just hated the juicing. So I'm not really juicing anymore. I'm just eating for now, okay? But I definitely established in those 21 days that I could very, 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 very easily. It's fun. It's actually fun. You just live off liquids. Like that. That's super easy, okay? And you'd still get all the taste. You drink mango. If you like mangoes, you could just drink mango juice. Watermelon juice, that's what I juice. Delicious, okay? And coconut water. How can I forget coconut water? And when I go to Thailand, these juices are all over the streets, everywhere. I don't have to juice. They're fresh. The fruits are fresh. Coconut water all over. Okay? So I've decided when I go to Thailand, I'm gonna live that life. Because even if you eat fruits, just drink the juice if you want to live that light liquid detox of soup. It's By the way, your body goes into super detoxification state even in juice fasting. Water fasting is more intense. Coconut water would be intense. It would sort of be in between juicing and water. And I plan on having a primarily coconut water based essentially. Anyway, so you make these changes as you go along the journey. You start off just making small changes, and you work your way up, and you allow your body to clean itself. You know, everybody's gonna have varying degrees of toxicity in there. And within probably a few years of consistently doing that, you will reach that state where it's like zero inflammation inside your body. Like zero. And it's just like you're flying, man. You're flying. Okay? So that's number one. Number two, functionality. Of course, a body that has been cleaned is going to function superbly well. That goes without saying, right? It's going to function superbly well. So to give you a reference point for functionality, for what a functional body is, the best fitness test is walking. How long can you walk before you want to sit down? Okay, that's your test right there. If you're doing anything less than an hour, you've got some ways to go. Okay, you've got some ways to go, because just like cheetahs are the fastest animal, the fastest land animal, we're the longest walking animal. Okay, we're supposed to be able to walk for endlessly. That's the design of the human body. The other test would be how much sleep do you need? And I'm not saying how much sleep do you need to be functional. I'm saying how much sleep do you need to be Superman and Superwoman. Because at degrees of super cleanliness in the body, you're only going to require 3 to 5 hours. If you're super clean, you get 5 hours of sleep, you wake up feeling Superman, Superwoman. Okay, I'm giving you the real health reference points here. The real, okay? So anywhere between 3 and 5 is all you should need. You should wake up spontaneously, instantaneously, beaming with energy. So those would be your 2 metrics for measuring functionality. And if you're able to walk forever and only sleep for 3 to 5 hours, and that's all you need, nothing more, not for functionality, but for buzzing, okay? Then you know you've also reached that heavenly functionality. Okay, so you've reached that heavenly feeling, functionality, FF, feeling, functionality. And then the last one would be look. Okay, you want to have an aesthetically pleasing looking body. And that's very subjective, okay, because it's very cultural, and some cultures consider skinny to be more beautiful. Some cultures consider buff to be more beautiful, etc., etc., etc. All you have to do is look at the fashion trends for, say, women, and you see how they changed from in the 90s, in the thousands, and they're always changing, and now they change every year. Okay, so looks means, what do you like your body, like what is for you an aesthetically pleasing body? And just sort of establish that as well, because an aesthetically pleasing body, I'll tell you what an aesthetically pleasing body does. It attracts, unfortunately, the society is very materialistic, the consciousness is so low. It attracts attention. And if you're looking to spread the knowledge and the awareness, it doesn't hurt to have an aesthetically pleasing, looking body. It's not that you're trying to actually impress anyone, because like I said, the trends keep changing over and over. But I'll tell you, an aesthetically pleasing body is an athletic body with a good posture, erect posture, okay? That can pretty much move and walk. It doesn't have to be big muscles, nothing like that at all. If the body, because the body you'll see it in the body. It's erect. It's got a good posture. It's got, obviously, if you're really clean and eating super clean, you're gonna be diced, which is always good. That seems to be aesthetically appealing all across the board, at least for a man, right? You're gonna be if you're a man, you're gonna be pretty ripped if you're doing all of that and you're clean. Okay. That's sort of the 3 heavenly states of the body, and you've established the first concentric circle, the first heaven. And from there, you have a base to start expanding. Okay, you start with the body. Don't worry about anything else. Start with the body. You want to expand the circle. You want to go to the next concentric circle, but first establish the state of heaven. And yeah, and really, like, when I see an overweight person, for example, I look, I'm like, you know, what's their state of consciousness like? I'm curious. I want to know, what's their state of consciousness? What's your state of consciousness like in a body like this? Because you're probably full of inflammation and pain and struggle, and your back hurts because you got too much weight, and your gut's always inflamed. So I wonder what state of consciousness they're in, because you get 2 different or 3 different overweight people. Each one of them is still in quite a bit of a different state of consciousness. So there's a lot of factors involved other than your state of physical health. But still, that's gonna determine a lot of how you are in the world. Okay, it really, because if you're not healthy in any way, shape, or form, those first 3 chakras are imbalanced, and you're not gonna be able to go anywhere beyond that. You might do some meditation, cute meditation, take psychedelics, and that'll get you there, and back down again we go. So you start with that. You establish a state of heaven in the body. Go to the next concentric circle, and that's your environment. Okay? And I have identified 4 different factors that determine a heavenly environment. Starting with beauty. Okay? The environment really has to be beautiful. This is very critical, crucial. Okay? Beautiful. Beauty stands out. Although beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but I don't know, I think there's objective beauty, just like there's objectively good music, and I discussed this with a lot of my riders on Uber, and I even, I only got maybe 3 times that I didn't get a 5-star rating, okay? Everywhere else was a 5-star, right? Because I'm a pretty lovable cat, right? But those 3 times that there was comments left saying they didn't like the music. Okay, and in those early stages, I would be playing like just random music, whatever was playing, right? Then I started to become more aware of this, and I started to play Beethoven and Mozart and strictly classical music. And I started getting comments and ratings saying, this is the best Uber ride ever, the music was fantastic, thank you so much, you made my day. And I knew right there and then that there is something called objectively good music, where it's almost like, a vast majority of, no matter which walk of life you're in, you agree this is good music. And same thing with beauty, a beautiful environment. Okay, you see a beautiful sunrise or sunset or beautiful view, and you just recognize it. Everybody can be like, wow, this is really beautiful. Like, it's like everybody recognizes it. This is really beautiful, right? I'm trying to get the lighting to be good here. So yeah, so the beauty. So you live somewhere beautiful, somewhere heavenly, Pick a beach, pick a mountain, whatever floats your boat, jungle, okay? Somewhere really beautiful, really beautiful. And again, just so to share with you guys, because I'm talking the talk here, but I'm also walking the walk. Okay, you have to talk the talk and walk the walk. So I talked about the things that I'm currently doing with my body right now, creating this heavenly state in the body. As far as the environment, you guys all know that I am moving to Thailand very soon, and I am going to the jungles. I'm gonna be living in right beside the jungles, okay, and mountains. So there is the first thing, it's like you've got to walk the walk too, right? And from here on until the rest of my life, I'm just gonna be living either on a beach, in a mountain, or by a mountain, by a beach, by a jungle. It just doesn't make sense to live anywhere else. So beauty. And this is very important. I'll explain to you, even deeper. So bear with me here. Beauty. Pick somewhere beautiful and live there. Because this resembles, beauty, the physical, I think one of them philosophers, one of them Greek heads, one of them, Plato said, yeah, I think, because Plato was big on beauty, the concept of beauty. And he said, things that are physically aesthetic, that have a physical aesthetic to it, a mountain, for example, is so aesthetic, beautiful. A beach, a sunset, a sunrise. He said these are physical principles that represent a metaphysical principle. Okay, he says that there is a metaphysical representation in that physical beauty. So he was very big, you know, Plato was very big on beauty. Okay, so that's why it's pretty crucial that you pick somewhere beautiful. Okay, it's bad lighting here. Let's see, yeah, it's better. Okay, so it's very important for you to pick somewhere beautiful. Okay, a beautiful something. You know, again, everybody sort of agrees a sunrise is beautiful, a sunset is beautiful, a mountain is beautiful, a beach is beautiful, right? It's, you know, pure. Be near places that are pure. And so that's the first thing, be beauty. And then the second thing is peace, quietude. Okay, and this is very important because who you are, who you really are, not the mask, not the facade, not the character, the awareness, the nature of that awareness, it's eternally quiet, eternally calm, eternally peaceful. And if you want to get in touch with who you are, you want an outer environment that mirrors back to you your true nature. So when, for example, when you clean up your body, it's in a state of harmony, it's quiet, it's calm, it's in heaven. Because your foot is not like bothering you, your back and all your guts, like there's weird things happening. You're just quiet, it's all quiet. So you create an environment here that mirrors you, the nature of you. And so you go to the outer environment, the second concentric circle, and then you create a peaceful, quiet, calm environment. Again, I'm walking the walk because the place that I'm moving to, it's like, you could even look it up. It's called the Rompe Loft Habitat. It's literally on the like very, very outskirts of Chiang Mai, right by the jungles, very quiet, no traffic, nothing like that. Okay, so you pick an external environment that mirrors the internal environment. Okay, and that is quiet, peaceful, calm. So you pick beauty. So you've got beauty, you've got quiet, peace, calm, and then the consequence of those two, number 3, is B for benevolence. Benevolence. Because if you want to be around, if you want again to be reminded of who you are, you want to be around in an environment that has a lot of benevolence in it. So that could be benevolent spirits, benevolent entities, benevolent trees. Trees are very benevolent. Okay, benevolence means, you know, good-willed and loving and caring. So trees are very benevolent. If you're already around somewhere beautiful, somewhere peaceful and quiet, you're going to be around benevolent sentient beings such as trees and birds and you know, other life forms that are benevolent. And you're going to be around benevolent spirits. And those spirits could be incarnated in physical bodies or disincarnates. And when I lived last year in such a place, you know, was Dandas, which I'm making a visit to in a few days. I'm going to be hanging out there for a couple of weeks. When I was living there, I met all kinds of benevolent spirits there. Not just the trees, not just the environment, not just the birds and everything, but very benevolent incarnates and disincarnates. I met so many lovely, lovely human beings on my walks, on my hikes, on, you know, just being there. So many lovely human beings that I'm going to be meeting up with soon. And I met so many lovely, wonderful disincarnate, not in physical bodies, the benevolent spirits. And the benevolence from those spirits were absolutely overwhelming to the point where I would just be crying for like half an hour in their presence. Okay? Much more than anything I've ever encountered in a human being. So benevolence, you surround yourself in a peaceful, quiet environment. Combine that with beauty, and you've got, sure, it's gonna be benevolent. All the human beings in that particular area will be benevolent, and you will encounter some very, very benevolent spirits and entities and beings, and then benevolent sentient beings like the trees and the birds and other life forms like that. So then you would have peace, P plus B, beauty equals benevolence, B. So B plus P equals B. And then the fourth factor, and I put this as the fourth because although it is preferable, some people will be okay without it, is warmth and sun. Okay, warmth and sun. Some people will like a mountainous, cold area. Okay, that is totally understandable. That's why the first 3 are prerequisites. The fourth one for me is a prerequisite, but I think for some people it won't be a problem. If they have the first three, you go live in a mountain, you already got the first three. Beauty, peace, and benevolence. You already got that. And you'll probably be okay without the sun and without the warmth. Okay, so but you know, I like that. I like the warmth in the sun. It's good for my body, it's good for my happiness. Again, the sun does remind you of who you are. Also, it's an external projection of the inner self. Okay, and like, man, people here are so much happier now that it's sunny. Of course, I don't have to worry about that anymore because I'll be living in forever sunny now. So I'm even like avoiding the rainy season. Honestly, I'm not going to Chiang Mai until September because the rainy season is July and August, and so I really like the sun. I'm a sucker for the sun. So warmth and sun, although not a prerequisite, because if you live somewhere with the first three, you're going to be fulfilled. You're already going to be like, you're already going to be satisfied. So now we've gone through the first concentric heavenly circle, which is your physical body. The second concentric heavenly circle, which is your external environment. Okay, and that leaves us with the third one. The third one is going to be, you're not going to be able to do the third one without the first two. Impossible. And the third one is really where the meat and the butter is. Okay, that's where really the meat and the butter of it is. And the third one I call self-sustainability. Self-sustainability. And so the self-sustainability has got three parts to it. The first part is, what was it? E, start with the E. Oh yeah, extrasensory perception. So if you don't have a proper environment, again, that's why this one, it's gonna and this is the meat and the butter, and it's gonna come to you because of the first two heavenly concentric circles. Without the first two, forget about it. Don't, you're not getting to the third one. You're just not getting to the third one. So the third one is you begin to unlock your extrasensory perception. So you begin to unlock things like telepathy and things like lucid dreaming and astral projection, and your psychic abilities begin to be activated again. And this is key, and it's self-sustainability, because the reason why we have technology right now is because the consciousness here is so dense, man. It's so dense. Oh man, this is such a dense plane. If you guys like knew how dense this is, you'd understand what I'm saying. Like, it's very dense. Okay, very, very dense consciousness. So because of that, we have to actually create technology, because we've lost our psychic abilities as a whole. And so yeah, so if you activate your psychic abilities while you're in a human incarnation, good for you. That'll definitely put you in a class of your own. And also, as far as the mass populace is concerned, but there's quite a lot of people that are living now, numerically speaking, not percentage wise, but numerically, that have a lot of extrasensory perception skills, and I'm sure you've experienced them from time to time. I experienced them from time to time. But really, you're going to be self-sustained, because you're not going to be depending on technology anymore. You'll have the inner technology, because, by the way, the outer technology, all of it, cell phone, Wi-Fi, phone is just telepathy. It's also a manifestation of the inner technology that you already have. So phone is because we forgot how to do telepathy. We went externally, and we've invented the phones and Wi-Fi's and things like that, internet. But that's already inside, inner technology. Outer is just a manifestation of inner. The outer sun is the manifestation of the inner sun. So you activate your extrasensory perception, and you begin to be independent, self-sustained in that way. You're not dependent on technology anymore, because you've got the inner technology. And then you don't even need to listen to people like me or anybody else or Sadhguru or gurus, because that's it. You already unlocked inside. You don't need to go outwards. You just sit there, close your eyes, you get all the wisdom, all the knowledge, everything. And that's it. So extrasensory perception. But again, like I said, emphasize, that's not going to happen if you don't get the first two concentric circles on lockdown. On lockdown, ladies and gentlemen, okay? On lockdown. So, the second part would be energy sustainability. Okay? So, the second part would be energy sustainability. And that would mean you reach the pranic state. You no longer need food. You no longer need water. You no longer need anything external for you. That's it. Okay, but that goes beyond that also. You don't need money, you don't need shelter, you don't need anything. You reach that state where you're totally sustained by just being, by just breathing. Just being, breathing. You're totally sustained. Energy sustainability. No food needed, no water needed, no shelter needed. Although you may choose to still drink water, still eat a little bit of food, but that's your sustained. You've reached a pranic state. And you may choose to have a shelter, but because you don't need it, because you've tried to go live off the grid. You've lived off the grid. Okay, and I know some breatharians like Eli Tamil Amin, for example, he lived off the grid, I think, for 2 or 3 years. So he goes from shelter to shelter, like he stays in hotels and stuff, but he's already done the off the grid stuff. He's already reached a pranic state. You see, that's a lot of freedom. That's a lot of freedom, because that's now you know who you are. That's a lot of freedom, if you ask me. But that's not gonna happen without the first two. Okay? So you don't need anything anymore. That's it. You've reached the total fulfillment. Total fulfillment. Nothing is needed external to you. Nothing. And no money neither. And the paradox is, because you don't need any of it, it's gonna start flowing to you like crazy. Because you live in such an abundance of just being so content and happy here. Just breathing. Just being. And the paradox is, everything's gonna flow to your way. You're gonna have money coming left, right, and center, and you don't even need it. That's what's funny. You know, the paradox will really hit you at that point. Okay? So this is sort of the second part of the self-sustainability. The third part is the state of flow. You're constantly, eternally in a state of flow. So you're eternally on a mushroom microdose. And that happens naturally without trying if you've got everything. Yeah, so as I was saying, flow state. Total flow. Total harmony with the way. Total harmony with the Tao. And that you won't even have to try and do anything about. That'll just happen as a result of all the previous things that we talked about in this video, right? So that's heaven on earth, ladies and gentlemen. That's heaven on earth in a nutshell. And if you just ignore all the rest of it that's going on in the planet, ignore the ecological disasters, ignore the mass ignorance of people, and ignore it all. Awareness is key, but just ignore it. Just ignore it. I mean, why dwell on it? I'll be aware of it, and I will continuously bring into awareness the issues of the world, the issues of the society, and talk shit, but also provide solutions. And I just provided you with the powerful solutions here to create heaven on earth. That way, you will leave this consciousness, you will leave your body, this plane of consciousness, in a state of heaven. And wherever you go next, you will be in total control. Whether you come back here, you'll come back here to somewhere with favorable circumstances and create that heaven on earth all over again. Or you might choose to go back to your star system. You might choose to go back to the Pleiadians if you're Pleiadian, or Syrians if you're from whatever. There's like so many of them, right? Or you may choose to go to the astral plane, or whatever you're gonna go, because you've created it, because it's all in the now anyway. It's all happening now, because you're in a state of here and now of total heaviness and bliss. So wherever you go next, when you choose to die, you'll probably even at that level choose to consciously leave your body whenever you want. So then you'll just kind of go wherever you want. You'll have total freedom, and you will go somewhere heavenly, believe me. Whether you choose to go to the land of pure bliss, that's a Buddhist heaven where there's like a Buddha there, Ambita Buddha, I think his name, and he teaches there. Whether you go back to the Pleiadians, wherever you go, right? Or you come back here again to this prison planet, you'll still come back here and live a heavenly existence. And this, I mean, look, watch this video again and really take these teachings to heart, because that's it. Now that you begin to practice all these things, you could open your mouth and talk shit about the state of affairs of the world. And rest assured that you're already living a living proof of the solution. You're living the solutions. You are the solution. You're it. You're living it. You're in heaven. And even from that point, you could actually look at things objectively, and you could even look at society and everything, and you could begin to provide solutions. You become a solution-oriented being. Okay, so yeah, so begin to implement these things, folks. These things take years, right? To create a heaven on earth here, to be like, I am living in heaven, to make such a bold statement and say, I am living in heaven. First of all, it will show on you. Everybody will be like, damn, like you high on something, you know. Second of all, you could, from that point of view, legitimately say, I am living in heaven. That takes years. That takes a lot of years, okay? But you watched this entire video, so I have no doubt that you are working on these solutions. And I would like to really thank you for watching this video, and I would really like to thank our Patreons for supporting this channel. Your generosity is overwhelming, and I am very much eternally grateful for your support, your contribution, your belief in this channel, clearly manifesting through declaring your hard-earned cash as part of supporting the operations of this channel. So thank you. And if you just want to make a one-time donation, I got a PayPal link. One of you guys, somebody who's very generous, okay? You know, I'm not gonna say name because I don't have permission, but you know, you were so generous that you pledged your support on Patreon, and then you asked me for a link because you wanted to donate more money. So then I created a PayPal link, you know, and you donated money there. Okay, so like, wow, that's really that's mind-blowing. So thank you very much. And so I got a link now, a PayPal link, if you want to just make a one-time donation. If you're not into the monthly thing, you're not into buying me a cup of mushroom tea, $2 a month, you could just do a one-time thing on PayPal. Okay, so there's a link for that in the description as well. Love you guys, and until next time, may the force be with you.